Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tarnation TV production. Auto Racing Network on commentary this evening because it is Thursday. This is the Rolling Thunder Gaming Racing League, and of course the series, the one and only Talladega Challenge, as we roll through season number 68. So we've had some fantastic racing as always. We've got bracket challenge in place. We'll talk about all that stuff because we got the next couple hours to hang out here at virtual Talladega. Thanks, John Godfrey, for the awesome modification. We can't thank John enough for how much he widened pit road, even though it doesn't seem wide enough. Anyway, I'll stop talking. My name is Blaine Donlin, joined by Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole.
Yeah, we're currently sitting roughly about 2/3 of the way through the regular season, almost halfway through the season in its entirety here. And Kyle, 4 races left until we put the playoffs together. We've seen 6 different drivers go to victory lane these first 6 races, and every single one of those drivers, when we talk to them, they mention about how difficult these checkered flags are to obtain. Now, as we start to enter into the second half of the regular season, the number of opportunities to be able not only to garner points, but for a lot of drivers that may not have gotten the best start to the season, maybe starting to creep into must-win territory, it's going to make the job even tougher to get those checkered flags, and with maybe a little bit of desperation starting to creep in for drivers that are finding themselves outside the top 20 in points, might make it just as difficult for everybody in the field to ensure that they're going to even be up there for the checkered flag, make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, some of these guys are going to be out here trying to get as many points as possible, and there are different ways to get points now this season with the stage racing being brought into play here at the halfway point. And we've seen how exciting it can get during that part of the race. So, so there's that opportunity to get points that way, to lead a lap, and of course, a lot of these drivers are looking to get a win too, any way that they can. Like you said, the playoffs will be here in just a few short weeks.
Go back a few weeks ago, we saw Denny Carroll find victory lane, a driver that was at the time outside of the top 20 in points. Go back to last week, Donnie Garrett finds victory lane, a driver that was outside of the top 20 in the point standings. So 2 drivers that really needed victories to get their seasons turned around. We've seen drivers that have been very consistent this season as well that have a 0 in the win column. So what do you think? Do we see a driver that's been doing really well up there in the point standings get the checkered flag tonight, or do we see another driver that's kind of down in the cellar point standings wise that really needs a good run, needs a checkered flag here tonight to get themselves into the conversation for the playoffs in about a month's time?
I mean, it seems to benefit. Last couple of weeks have seemed to benefit drivers who are in a position where they really need a win, like you mentioned with Denny Carroll and Donnie Garrett. So, but really, the way this series is, as competitive as it is, your guess is as good as mine on that prediction right there. I mean, we've had 6 races and 6 different winners. Who knows what we're going to see tonight? But I'm willing to bet I think the streak is going to continue in terms of different winners.
I will not argue with you on that. I definitely think we're going to see these drivers go 7 for 7 in different drivers taking the checkered flag here in season 68. This, of course, as well is the 3rd round of the bracket challenge. We're starting to get a clearer picture of who potentially is going to be standing at the top of the winner's side of the bracket. Of course, once that's decided, there's still about another, I believe, 5 or 6 races where we're going to sort things out on the loser's side of the bracket to find out who's going to eventually be in the finals. Only 8 drivers facing off against each other in 4 rounds in this 3rd round of the winner's side of the bracket. We'll be filling you in on who those drivers are here in just a few moments. A little bit of a later start here for these drivers. Obviously, we found out that Doug Hulick was having some technical problems and is not going to make the field. They were trying to get another driver in that had missed in the go or go home qualifying to give us the full 40 car field, which it looks like we will indeed have. And with that, I mention it every week, but it's so important, the fact, Kyle, that with there being every single race 40 drivers taking the green flag, that is so many points that are on the table to be gained or lost in such a crucial portion of the season.
Yeah, I mean, full field every single week, extremely impressive for just goes to show you how competitive this series is, how prestigious this series is. And yeah, the more drivers in the field, the more opportunity there is, the more points there are to gain, I should say. So could be beneficial for some people and maybe not so much for others.
Looks like happy hour has run down. We will see these drivers momentarily gritting up on pit road in preparation for another 66 laps here this evening from the Talladega Super Speedway. We ended up seeing an exchange for the points lead last week. Joe DeSpirito brought it home on the podium. Subsequently, he leapfrogged to the top of the point standings column as he currently has 6 points in hand over Tim Nofsker, and then 9 points in hand over Josh Metallic, who was the former points leader going into last week. Grant Wesley currently sits 4th in points. He's only 16 points back, so still really close amongst those drivers. Ken Roberts currently in 5th, with Mark Paglia, Brian Schilling, Bob Seminara. We're going to be talking about him in just a few moments. Michael Norman and Ulysses Sandoval. That's your top 10 in the point standings. But remember, new points format this season, 16 drivers will actually be battling for the championship in terms of being in the top 16 positions in the stands at the end of the regular season. So Craig Hagley, Kelly Causey, Greg Lovell, Denny Carroll, Richard Martin, and Greg Palmer all currently come into this race occupying those 16 playoff positions. Donnie Garrett, currently 20th in the point standings with the victory last week, would be in a wild card position, but obviously he wants to work his way further up in the overall point standings to secure himself a spot in this postseason. We will end up, as mentioned, having these drivers take the green flag a little bit later based off of the extended happy hour. They will also take the green flag a little bit later once they come around through the tri-oval, since we're not going to have an official pole sitter on track. Blaine Donlin, I don't know how he was able to do it, but he was able to find, I guess, the tailwind down the back straightaway. And he's the pole sitter tonight.
What a lap, man. You guys up here in the booth, you guys have been putting down some good laps this year.
Gosh darn. I should get out there.
You should. Who said triple digits? Who said triple digits can slow you down? Maybe it actually adds more aerodynamics to the car.
And rolling off pit road now to head out to the parade lap, so I think I missed my chance.
I think you did.
That's gonna move Rodney Sullins to the inside of row number 1 alongside Bob Seminara there. So,
yep, that entire inside line going to get to move up a row. So we're gonna read off the way that they would have rolled off the grid here. It obviously will be a little topsy-turvy from what you're seeing on your screen, but Bob Seminara there on the outside of that front row. Rodney Sullins was slated to roll off the inside of row 2, but he'll now be the honorary pole sitter. Doug Hewlick outside of that second row. Looks like we're going to get a little reset. There you go, Blaine. That's a chance to get out on track.
There we go.
Show them how it's done.
Yeah.
Chuck McClure, who is the defending 2-time series champion, going to be on the inside of row number 3 alongside of Bobby Farrell. Garland Oaks, Dennis McCarthy in row 4 with John Godfrey, Rod Weston completing the top 10. Robert Breedlove and Mark Paglia, they're back row 6. Row 7, Craig Hagley and Pat McCarsky. Last week's winner, Donnie Garrett, shares the 8th row with Tim Anderson. Brian Schilling, Terry Bombard in row 9 with Jeremy Jeffries, Javier Negron. They're going to complete your top 20. Row 11 finds RJ Cabana alongside of Graham McDonald. Row 12, Ulysses Sandoval and Billy Elliser. Row 13 will be Joe DeSpirito and Greg Palmer. Row 14, Ken Roberts, Grant Wesley. And your top 30 will be completed by Greg Lovell and Glenn Harris. Back in the 16th row, Mike Mangialardi and Denny Carroll. Josh Metallic and Robert Spring in row 17. Row 18 finds Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
and Jeffrey Elliott. Row 19, Richard Martin, Michael Norman. And then the rest of the field tonight will be comprised of Jeff Crivello, Cody Lamas, and Bernie Mobbs.
I am going to step away for just a split second.
All right, no problem. So it looks like, just double checking here. I said there were 40 drivers that are going to take the green. Looks like it actually might end up being 39. Because you saw there was another space that was open on the outside line there. That was where the 23 of Doug Hewlick was going to occupy. We already documented the issues that he was having, not going to make the start here. They were trying to get the 136 of Sean Turner back to try and have him fill in that 40th spot. He was the first one below the cut line of the go or go homers in knockout qualifying, but looks like they weren't able to do so. It will actually be 39 drivers that will take the green flag here tonight in this one.
Oh, was Turner in the server for the knockout?
It looks like it. Yeah, it looks like he was the first one that was eliminated, so to speak, in terms of the go or go homers. They were trying to see if they could get him back since Hewlick was unable to make the start, but apparently they weren't able to get him here in time for the race.
I think that's happened before where like someone didn't make it. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't make it. And then they leave. And then they were like, hey, man, somebody got disconnected, like, Hewlick. And then it's worth hanging out maybe until the first couple laps to see if you might need to be used as a replacement. If Turner just left, he might have missed his chance. But or, if tornado sirens go off. We had that happen last week, and I heard you had some issues with that today, possibly.
Yeah, never had the siren go off, but we were under a tornado warning for about 4 hours.
Yikes.
It's so weird, though, because once they then said that the tornado warning was over, I look outside and it's blue skies. It's like, okay, weather, you're really messing with me here.
We had multiple tornado warnings in different counties in this area last night, right after midnight, so it was awfully weird.
Well, we end up seeing some weird stuff in this race. No races on a Thursday night are ever alike. As Rodney Sullivan's going to take the green flag. I thought the green was going to fly a little bit later. Maybe they gave the pace car a little bit of extra space, knowing that green flag was going to fly late. And Rodney Sullivan's going to try and see if he can get himself clear on that inside line. Seminara there on the top side. The driver coming into this race that has accumulated the most midway stage points this season. We've completed 6 races, and he has won half of those stages.
Yeah, Bob Seminara's got the stage racing figured out here. I mean, seems like every single week he's up there in a position to either win the stage or at least get a number of points right there. So he's got that figured out so far.
Back-to-back stage wins over the last couple of weeks for driver 712, and certainly helps him out in the point standings as well. 8th in the overall standings coming into tonight, still chasing that first victory of the season, as is Rodney Sullins in that 38. Rodney not coming into this race in nearly as fortunate a points position, currently sitting in the 26th spot in overall standings. So, Kyle, we were talking about, Donnie Garrett and Denny Carroll being able to win from outside of the top 20 in points. Rodney Sullins could be a top candidate to maybe do the same thing here tonight.
Definitely fits that bill. Bob Seminara got him another bonus point right there by leading lap number 1. Sullins trying to fight back on the inside. He's got a good push from Chuck McClure in the 17.
Oh, that's a tight 3 wide there.
Boy.
Mark Paglia just barely being able to squeeze between Robert Breedlove and Dennis McCarthy. There might have actually been contact between those two.
Was it last week that Rodney got into black flag trouble really late?
I think it was. Yeah, that final pit stop.
Ran an awesome race and then just missed on that last pit stop. And I'm pretty sure it was Rodney.
I think you're correct.
Led a ton of laps.
I think he ended up getting disqualified, I think.
Yeah, I think he did too. He tried to wait as long as he could to serve the penalty, and unfortunately went 1 lap too long. I think he ended up, to your point, Blaine, leading 38 of the 66 laps last week and was not able to bring it home with the victory.
Like they say, like you guys always talk about how that money stop, that last pit stop is the most important, and unfortunately Rodney made a mistake. Let's do some 3-wide racing on lap 4.
And McCarthy still up in that third line with Rod Weston, Javier Negron there, Ulysses Sandoval as well, Seminara leading that middle line. And we see it all too often. Once those outside lanes get side by side, it kind of allows an advantage to the inside line. However, appears to be some pretty decent energy there in grooves 2 and 3. They're not losing nearly as much ground as I thought they were. They actually almost got the leaders of the respective lanes up alongside of Rodney Sullins that last time down the back straightaway. Garland Oaks now going to get himself clear into third behind Chuck McClure. And one of the big questions coming into this season was, in what type of fashion was Chuck McClure going to try and make his way into the chase to try and claim his third straight championship. 2 seasons ago, he ended up winning his way in. Last season, he had to point his way in. Was able to get the job done at the end of the season, taking both routes. Right now, coming into this race, McClure finds himself in the 17th position in points. Been a bit of an off year for Chuck McClure, who so far has yet to score a top 5, only 2 finishes inside of the top 10 in these first 6 races.
Yeah, that is quite surprising. If that was me, if I was just anywhere near good enough to win back-to-back championships and anything like this, I'd probably be thinking to myself, man, I probably used up all my luck the last 2 seasons, but just seeing the way it's going for him so far this season, I mean, not doing terrible or anything, but just not what we would expect to see. If I could talk here tonight, that would be great.
He's still got, including tonight, 4 races to be able to work with as well. And sometimes all it just takes is that checkered flag to turn the season around. You know, Chuck McClure more than capable of winning races here on a Thursday night.
It's like playing golf. It's like you could struggle the entire time. You know, all 18 holes, you could struggle in most of them. Get one good shot, and that'll make your game right there.
I was just on the roof of John Godfrey looking back at the pack, and I believe I saw Jeffrey Elliott disappear. He never came back. Yeah, Elliott is gone.
It looks like he lost connection to both the server and the TeamSpeak. Looks like he may have just now fallen out of the server.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was looking off the back of the 7-Eleven. Jeff was in the back row, and then he disappeared and never came back. So, yeah, power outage.
Yeah,
Your cat walked by the power bar and walked on the power button. Stranger things have happened.
Right now, the side-by-side battle would be for 7th place. Seminara still on that outside line. Last week's winner, Donnie Garrett, there on the inside line. We heard from Donnie last week that he's actually going to be missing a couple of races. So he's got the checkered flag. That's step 1. Now for the races he's actually going to make, he's got to finish well, accumulate as many points as he possibly can, so that way for the races he is going to miss, which I believe he said were going to be during the course of this regular season, wants to make sure he's got himself a decent cushion in front of that 20th in the standings cut line. That's all you need to be ahead of with a victory to qualify for a wild card spot into the chase. Couple cars behind him is that light blue number 24 of Joe DeSpirito. Mentioned that podium finish for him last week. Now has him at the top of the point standings. Spirito, another driver, though, that is still looking for a checkered flag. There's a lot of big names. We talk about those that are struggling outside of the top 15, top 20 in points, but there's a lot of big names that have been consistent to start the season. They're still looking for their first win of season 68. Spirito being one of those. Metallic 3rd in points. Ken Roberts 5th in the standings. Brian Schilling, former champion, 7th in points. So the race winner could come from anywhere in the standings, but all but 6 drivers are still looking for that first trip to victory lane here this season.
It's nice to see consistency being rewarded for the points this season right there. These guys that are, been up there, like DeSpirito's been running well this season, leading the points, just hasn't won a race yet. But it's good to see that being rewarded.
Like most of that 3 wide that we saw in the early going has evaporated. A couple cars up there trying something. Pat McCarskey having to groan for the most part. They're double file all the way through the field. The top 5, potentially 6 cars are clear on that inside line there. Back to the bright green and yellow 931 of Robert Breedlove.
And we had 3 lines there for a little bit, and that far outside line is all but disintegrated. We're down to just 2 lines now.
It appears because of that middle line is making some forward progress. Bob Seminara now up alongside of Robert Breedlove. John Godfrey sees that run coming, so he'll move up there as well. That red, white, and blue is 7-11. He'll battle Breedlove now for the 4th position. Far this week, 3 races in the books across the 3 respective weekly series for Rolling Thunder Gaming. 3 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Brian Schilling picking up the road course win this Monday night in the Bare Bones Racing Series at Infineon, Sonoma, Sears Point, whatever you want to call it, from whatever generation of racing you're from. Tuesday night, it was Jeremy Jeffries taking the victory in the iRacing Series at Kansas, and last night we saw Grant Wesley pick up the victory on the dirt surface of the Springfield Mile. All 3 of those drivers are in this field here tonight. Can they get their 2nd win on the week?
Springfield Mile, that's a fun track to race at. I've really done well there, but always had fun racing there.
Oh yeah, I love dirt track racing. I wish that more series would run dirt tracks. I loved seeing it on the schedule, and then I went out there last night before we had the broadcast and ran a couple laps. I can tell you I was a little jealous I wasn't able to go out there and run with them. Track was fun, the setup was fun, and drivers put on a heck of a show. Plus the fact, I think it's the first time I've ever seen fuel mileage at a dirt track. Drivers were actually clutching in the corners to make sure they could get to the checkered flag. I've never seen that before in dirt track racing.
That's the first I've heard of something like that happening.
Because usually they'll set those up so you don't need to worry about any of that stuff.
Yep. Generally up there on the top side, Jeremy Jeffries working his way forward. It's a pretty solid lineup there with Brian Schilling, Grant Wesley, Josh Metallic, Rod West, and Ken Roberts. All trying to work their way forward. Just outside of the top 10 is Jeremy Jeffries, as he'll go 3 wide with Terry Bombard, Joe DeSpirito. I believe this is 3 wide for the 10th position as they run.
Yeah, Terry Bombard, lonely man right there in the middle, or in the sucker hole as we like to call it. Scott, I believe that's Javier Negron coming up to him, not right now.
Whoa! Terry got a little loose there in that middle lane going through the tri-oval. Almost came down and made contact with the 880 of Greg Lovell. Good hands there, able to save the race car. Everybody able to, at least for the moment, safely traverse their way through 1 and 2 and down the back straight. A little update on Jeffrey Elliott. He has returned back into the server. Looks like admins were able to work on getting him all but 1 lap back, so he'll be hoping for a yellow flag to put him in line of receiving one of the lucky dogs and get him back on the same lap as the race leaders.
Not too far now from the first, what should be the first round of green flag pit stops. We're coming to complete lap number 15.
The telltale sign, everybody migrated for the most part down to that inside line.
And it was a power surge that knocked Jeffrey Elliott out of the server.
Ah.
Power surges are always fun. That reminds me, the batteries in my UPS are dead. I need to upgrade that. Uninterrupted power supply. Only really works if the batteries work.
Actually, I lost power here a couple of times yesterday, including last night at about 3 a.m. or so. Luckily, it was only out for maybe a half hour, if that, but never a good feeling, though.
Nope.
It's weird how much you rely on it, right? Because then I instantly start thinking about my fridge. I'm like, okay, who cares about power? Whatever. So we can't play NASCAR. Wait a second. What about my fridge? What about the freezer in the basement? Oh, no.
My first thought last night was, how am I going to be able to sleep? I know that sounds weird, but I sleep with a fan on, and I've gotten so used to falling asleep with the sound of a fan. It's like I can't sleep in silence anymore.
You need that droning white noise of the fan, yeah.
Yes.
Get the generator out. Plug that fan in.
Kyle, you mentioned us getting close to that round of green flag pit stops. I think Rodney Sullins is going to have to pit this time by because he's been out in front for the entirety of this race so far. And we know that obviously being that lead car, not having the benefit of draft, you were using up a lot more fuel. Usually the race leader, they lead the entirety of the runs, only able to go about 18 laps. So I think we're going to see that Andy's Frozen Custard Chevrolet make the dive onto pit road. Question is, who, if anybody, is going to come down with him?
I'd be surprised if he came down pit road by himself. Here comes Garland Oaks coming down, and Rodney's going to stay out another lap.
Yeah, he's going to be able to make it another lap there. All right, I didn't think that the race leader could actually make it 19 laps, but Rodney's going to try. It was Bob Seminara from that round, I think he was about 7th place, I think, when he dove onto pit road there. Farrell, Garland Oaks, winner previously this season, Mark Paglia, Robert Breedlove as well. Bunch of drivers towards the back half of pit road also.
On board with Rodney right now.
Jeremy Jeffries was able to get the lead out of all of that right there. Now they're coming down pit road, a bunch of cars.
Wow, that's a massive pack of cars. 3-4 wide. Rod Weston locks them up.
Dennis McCarthy makes contact. Another car got in there. It's the
Graham McDonald, RJ Cabana. Whoa!
Pat McCarsky got into Rod Weston right there, and Weston caught some air. I'm surprised he's able to keep it going.
Almost flipped him over, I think. Yeah, got up on at least 2 wheels there, did Rod. Wow, it is really congested coming off of pit road there.
So Jeremy Jeffries going to win the race off pit road out of this group.
Hey, you mentioned
Brett
about
Wesley
the fact
right behind him.
You mentioned about the way that Jeremy had kind of leapfrogged Rodney. We had seen Jeremy, Grant, and Brian running that outside line, and I think that trio actually were able to all work together once that first group came to pit road and the energy kind of left that inside line. They were able to all swing around the outside of Rodney Sullins, and we can see how it's translated them to now cycling more than likely to the front once the pit stops are complete.
Makes me wonder if Rodney was going full throttle around there. I mean, talk about how close he had to have been on fuel, leading that, the majority of that last run. Maybe Jeremy Jeffries was able to take advantage of that, and that's how he got the lead.
A good point. Well, Jeremy Jeffries will cycle out to the race lead. Grant Wesley, Brian Schilling will be second and third, but they will very quickly have their trio swallowed up by the pack that is formed behind them, being led by Rodney Sullins. He's got Donnie Garrett, Joe DeSpirito, Chuck McClure with him. You got at least a dozen drivers in this pack, back to Ulysses Sandoval, who I think is going to cycle to around 14th, not too far behind them. You got about another 8 drivers that I believe have latched on to the draft of the 096. So all in all, we're probably looking at maybe about 25 drivers that will make up the lead pack once this cycle is completed.
Rodney Sullins looking for the race lead once again. Going to get a push there from Donnie Garrett, but those are the only 2 on that inside line.
Racy up here at the front. Ronnie had that big run there, trying to take it somewhere. Grant Wesley actually thought about taking it 3 wide through the tri-oval. Now it looks like most everybody's going to stay in that middle line. That's bad news for the 38 and the 77.
How does the Challenger Series work? Is that part of this, or is that a totally separate series?
Challenger Series is only on Mondays and Wednesday nights.
Okay.
So basically, I was a part of the Challenger Series for a couple of seasons for Bare Bones, and they have it, of course, on Wednesday nights for the Aero 88 series. It's almost, in a sense, I don't want to call it a B series, but it's an opportunity for drivers that, on a weekly basis aren't necessarily able to be up there at the front competing for wins. They kind of run mid-pack. It gives them an opportunity to race against each other for a championship as well.
Does it happen within the race, much like the bracket does tonight?
It does.
Okay, gotcha.
It doesn't follow the same guidelines as the bracket, obviously. There's not rounds or anything, but
No.
it's like a series within a series.
So they're keeping a separate set of points just for those drivers?
Correct.
Wow, okay.
You have to declare for the Challenger Series at the beginning of each season. I remember, I want to say it was seasons 62 and 63. I participated in the Challenger Series on Monday nights, had a great battle for the championship with Glenn Harris. Seemed like it didn't matter what track we went to, what configuration, we always seemed to find each other, and it made things interesting for green flag pit stops too. One week I would try and leapfrog him on strategy, the following week he'd leapfrog me on strategy. So, it's a great system too, because it allows drivers that are going to consistently run maybe in the latter half of the top 10 to inside the top 15, gives them somebody to be able to race on a weekly basis and have a payoff of a championship at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's a really neat setup. I got Kelly Cossey in my on the Tarnation TV feed commenting live. Will someone please throw some sawdust on that Astroglide car? And now I got to take a look at the 77. Currently sitting in 16th.
I was going to say, Sawdust might have translated to no draft because he and Rodney Sullins were kind of all by their lonesome down there on that inside line. So they found a way to send the 77 sliding backwards. But he's still in this lead pack, and they're trying to make something happen at the tail end of this group here, too. Josh Metallic, Rodney Sullins up there. Looks like Demar's going to join them, as well as Ken Roberts. So drivers just outside the top 15, trying to see if they can work their way forward, maybe crack back up into the top 10.
Didn't even realize that Kelly Causey wasn't in the field tonight.
I did not either.
Former winner on the season so far.
Came into this race 12th in the point standings as well. And if my math is correct, I believe he was only about 12 points ahead of the 16th in the standings cut line. So more than likely, when we come back to you next Thursday night, he will probably have fallen out of the top 16, hopefully still in the top 20 in possession of one of those wildcard spots.
Just taking a look at Carvillo back here, leading the pack with McCarthy, Cabana, McDonald, and Mangialardi from 26th on back. Just after the green flag pit stops, we usually get little broken up segments here, so.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because really aside from the Rod Weston spin on pit road, I didn't see anybody really have any issues on pit road entry. Of course, a lot can happen from the timing line at the entrance of pit road to the timing line at the exit of pit road. Pit road, yes, it's widened out, but it can still be very congested with different drivers on different strategies pitting on different laps. And a couple of drivers that were actually up here towards the front when that pit stop cycle began are now running the last two cars on the lead lap, Robert Breedlove and John Godfrey. As a matter of fact, they are closing in on less than 15 seconds in front of the race leaders. More than likely, if we continue to trend green, they're going to fall a lap down to race leader Jeremy Jeffries. So not sure exactly what occurred for those two drivers during that pit stop cycle, but obviously it's put them quite a bit behind of where they were running before the pit stops began.
Donnie Garrett's really fallen off this pack here. I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, not 100% certain, but it definitely looked like that car was losing speed out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Double checking back on him here, and yeah, he was right up on the back bumper of Ken Roberts, and then all of a sudden the car just started fading away from the pack. It looks like he might still have a sniff of draft off the back of the 48 of Cody Lamas, but Not 100% certain if that's just a factor of being the last car in line, not having somebody behind you to keep you up there in the draft, or if there's something a little more untoward going on with last week's winner.
We can't forget to thank, as always, every week here, the anonymous donor who pays to sponsor these broadcasts. We don't know who it is, but we thank you. That way we can bring you all this stuff in its full glory. Kelly Causey says the storms are now just leaving. It's been terrible lightning. So yeah, he's been playing it safe and keeping the computer off in the lightning storm. Because that can definitely cook your stuff.
Yep, fair enough.
Cooked my Super Nintendo when I was a teenager.
Oh.
I was playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo in the basement. Lightning hit the transformer on the pole in the middle of the cul-de-sac. It actually got me. I ran upstairs and my mom was like, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know. I got electrocuted in the Nintendo." And she's like, "What?" Because the lightning hit the post and somehow it found me. It burned out the controller, but the game still worked.
Whoa.
Yep.
I ain't playing that game anymore.
I love that game. Down R up LYB. Capcom code. Is it down R up LYB? Is that the Capcom code? I think that's the Capcom code.
I'll take your word for it.
Trying to remember what it was. That might be an NBA Jam code. Either way, old school video games. Yeah, that was a cool day. I never, ever again had a console or computer on during lightning. And yeah, I'll use a computer during the rain, but if there's lightning, I'm not turning it on.
We're coming up here on the closing in on the halfway point to give out the stage points, and
right.
The guy who's been a master at getting stage points we talked about during the pre-race, Bob Seminara, has fallen back to the second to last car in this group here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just kind of looking at where the previous stage winners are running. Josh Metallic's at the tail end of this group, but he's now made it up to around 11th. Fourth car in line on that outside line. You mentioned Bob Seminara, who's won 3 of the stages this season. Ulysses Sandoval, who's won 1. He's towards the tail end of this pack. The closest driver to the field right now that is a former stage winner would be Joe DeSpirito. Ended up taking the stage win back in race 4, and he's running the 4th position. So right now, as we'd be coming around to the proverbial white flag, if you will, to end this halfway stage, odds are looking potentially in favor of a driver getting their first stage win of the season.
Trying to get a second line going on the outside. Michael Norman leading that line with Javier Negron right behind him. Randy Wallace up there, so is 39 and Josh Metallic. Doesn't look like they're making a whole lot of ground, though, as a lot of them are abandoning that line right now.
Fighting for every stage point they possibly can. Could be very important at the end of the season. We'll have to see here with Jeremy leading. They'll be coming to a green and white checkered flag, if you will. Does Grant Wesley feel content to ride in line, net 9 stage points? Same for Schilling there in 3rd. Is he comfortable with 8 stage points? Do they try and make a move on Jeremy? Looks like they're all pretty content through the tri-oval. So Jeremy Jeffries, who currently sits 14th on the list of drivers that have accumulated the most stage points this season, will net his first 10 points at the halfway portion of a race here in season 68. Stage winner, the General Lee Machine. Like Grant Wesley, Brian Schilling, Joe DeSpirito, Chuck McClure were your top 5, with Terry Bombard, Javier Negron, Randy Waugh, Richard Martin, and Ken Roberts. The top 10 all getting stage points here at the halfway portion of this race. Next up, potential second round of green flag pit stops within the next 5 laps. During the course of that battle to the halfway point, Tim Anderson fall a second lap down. We've got 3 drivers currently off the lead lap. Rod Weston, who had the pit road issue, -1. Tim Anderson now -2. And Jeffrey Elliott, who had the power surge issue, currently 3 laps down to the race leader. And Jeremy's actually about to potentially take away the bonus point from Rodney Sullins for most laps led. Rodney led the opening 16 laps. Jeremy Jeffries this time around will lead his 16th lap of the night. Still got some side-by-side battling here in the latter portion of this lead pack, but it seems like nobody up towards the front really feels like stepping out of line, trying to make something happen here. Pretty comfortable with where they're running, all trying to keep themselves pinned to that yellow line so that way they have that easier access onto pit lane entry when those green flag pit stops roll around. Like we got some drivers going to be pitting this time, including one up in this lead pack, 43 of Richard Martin. Just made his call to pit lane. Currently running the 8th position, that STP Dodge. Like Glenn Harris also made the call to pit road, and I would not be surprised if see more drivers from midway down the back straightaway all the way here into the middle of 3 and 4 also make some pretty late calls to make the dive to pit road.
See some guys trapped on the outside. Yep, here comes Richard Martin and Randy Waugh, Bob Seminara. Oh,
I got you.
Bobby Farrell, the 92, also on pit road. So just 4 drivers coming down. Well, got a couple more in the second pack there. Denny Carroll, Bernie Mobbs, Billy Elliser, however you say his name.
Mangialardi also in there. Richard Martin down and away. See if some of our race leaders will be coming down this time. Highest driver so far was Martin in 8th. And Grant's coming in, so is Jeremy. Pretty much most of the front runners coming down pit road this time. Looks like Michael Normie, let's see, Sandoval staying out. And, well, looked like this group all made it onto pit road safely. Now the question is, did they get it back down in time?
Oh, a little bit of a stack up coming in there. Crifello, looks like Graham McDonald on the way in. Jammed up on the entrance.
I know, Kyle, you and I have kind of given Michael a hard time saying, hey, not hope they're leading very many laps. Had 2 laps led coming into this race, and now he'll lead another one here. As he and Sandoval go a little bit further on fuel.
He actually came over
road together.
He actually came over whisper and said, "Hey, I led a lap."
That's good, man. We got bonus points for days on that stuff.
Grant Wesley, one of the most efficient on pit road of being able to gain track position during cycle green flag pit stops, able to leapfrog Jeremy Jeffries. Now he'll be the new race leader once everything cycles around. Brian Schilling will line up there in 3rd. Kind of ironic, our top 3, once we end up having everything completed, are going to be all 3 former winners on the week from Monday to Wednesday.
In fact, there was an incident on pit road right there between the 19 and the 30.
And we see Michael coming off of pit road a little ways behind Sandoval. Might actually have some front end damage. Oh yeah. Like Rod got loose coming into pit road, actually got into Michael in his pit stall, and that's actually going to have some significant damage on that 30 car. And the tough thing about that is normally when you end up having damage sustained during a pit stop, they send you down away. They don't fix that damage.
Right, because I was looking at the 30, and I noticed he had the right side was all caved in, and I'm like, where did that happen? Well, that was it right there.
Yep, hood's buckled as well.
So Rod will come back down now, because that'll be him serving his penalty, because that would be considered an incident, I would assume.
Boy, that's not a good look for a Tarnation in from Flat Out Racing Network.
Where's the competition?
Right. Yeah, it's Rod Weston and Michael Norman. All the co-hosts for all the broadcasters here tonight. Getting clobbered and doing the clobbering.
I mentioned about the fact this is the third round of the bracket challenge. As Chuck McClure.
Somebody just
he's back.
Okay, yep. Chuck just stepping out for a second. Welcome back, Chuck.
With this being the third round of the bracket, I mentioned that on the winner's side there were 4 battles going on here tonight. Michael Norman was involved in one of those battles, was facing off against Joe DeSpirito to move into the final 4. Spirito right now in 4th, and Mike with that damage certainly plays in the 24's favor. Craig Hagley facing off against Denny Carroll. Last time I checked, both those drivers had actually lost the lead pack. Denny right now is scored 20th after this cycle. Craig Hagley is 23rd. I think they are in 2 separate groups, although I think that Craig Hagley's group will eventually reel in the trio that Denny Carroll is involved in, so their battle may continue here into the closing stages. Tim Nofsker facing off against Greg Lovell, and that's another name that I missed seeing that is not in the field here tonight in Nofsker. So Greg will automatically advance into the next round, and so too will Josh Metallic, as he was going to be taking on Kelly Causey. As we know, Kelly's not in the field here tonight, playing it safe with the weather conditions that he's got around him. So a couple of drivers, Lovell and Metallic, essentially getting buys this week and automatic locks into round 4 of the bracket challenge that'll take place next week.
Wasn't Nofsker in practice? I recall seeing him.
Was he?
I thought I did.
I'm not
He's got
sure.
that orange and black car.
I don't remember
maybe not
seeing him in the server, but yeah, really, really odd the fact that we don't have him. And I mentioned about the fact that he was up there in the hunt for the regular season championship, 6 points behind Joe DeSpirito coming into this evening, former winner on the season as well.
Very odd to see 2 winners on the season not in the race here.
Yeah.
They may be dealing with storms too. I'm not sure geographically where they're located, but that could be an issue.
A couple of drivers that have done a really good job here in the cycle of these pit stops and have themselves up here inside of the top 10. Terry Bombard, we saw him early on in the race, got shuffled in the middle in the sucker hole going backwards 3 wide. He's right now holding down the 6th position, and right behind him, Cody Lamas, who started this race from out back from the, well, it was scored the 41st position. It would have been, I believe, the 39th spot. Right now he's holding down the 7th position. And then right behind him, Ken Roberts in the 55. I mentioned there's a number of drivers that have been very consistent to start the season, have not gotten a checkered flag yet. Ken, 5th in the points, right now in the 8th spot. So number of drivers outside of those up here inside of the top 5 where they've been most of the evening, putting together some really good runs here and hoping that it continues. We've got that one final pit stop coming up, that money stop, and we've seen one too many times drivers that have a promising race going, they want that little bit extra, overstep the mark just enough and throw it away with a speeding penalty.
The only car retired so far from the race is Rod Weston in the 19. Oh, and Michael Norman just retired as well.
Yep, looks like it. Michael's going to get credit for 38th. Rod's going to get credit for 39th. Still a couple of cars that need to make some circuits.
Hey, at least I led a lap today, so I'm happy about
lead
that.
a lap.
Yes, you did.
I think I just missed out on the stage, but
I think our scoring had you 12th.
yeah, I think that's where it happened too. Yeah.
You never know. That one bonus point could make a big difference.
Yeah.
I told Rod on behalf of Tarnation TV to go get those FRN guys, so he's working on it.
And it's just one of those super speedway things. I'm just very surprised that I was able to hot pit with the early pit stall without hitting anybody that first time. So I'm happy I didn't take nobody out with that.
Yeah, we know you were talking about that being a bit of a concern with the early pit stop. It looks like some other drivers have been able to make it work too. Cody Lamas up here, he's got a pit stall
Well,
way
he does
back
it all the time, though. Is it really impressive when you do it all the time?
Well, I mean, maybe. You're right. I'm giving Cody way too much credit.
I am impressed with Cody so far tonight. I haven't really called his name any. Just happened to look up there, and there he is inside the top 10. I hope I'm not jinxing anything here, but
Yes, please jinx it. I want him to have a terrible day like I did. But only for Cody.
Well, right now, we've got a pretty big pack of cars up here, but a bunch of these drivers are actually battling to be one of the first two cars one lap down if we were to get a yellow. There are only 11 lead lap cars in this group right now. Each one of these cycle of pit stops has shrunken down the lead group.
Yeah, it really has. Because, some people up front like to save gas when they're in the middle of a pack here. And doing that, if that just an extra lap or two go, you're going to changes up who all comes to pit road at what time.
Looking at lap times here, Javier Negron leading this second group, and they actually are picking up ground. They've had a very nice formulated single file line here, only about 7 drivers from Negron back to Bobby Farrell, but they have been gaining a tenth and a half to 2 tenths every single lap. And if they can just get a sniff of draft off that trailing car, which is Mark Paglia, they'll be back up here as well.
There it is
and
again,
I believe every single one of the drivers in this group are on the lead lap. Correction, only one of those drivers is a lap down in Pat McCarskey, but 6 of the 7 of this group are actually on the lead lap. So that would give us a pack of 17 lead lap cars if they're able to catch, which I think they're going to be able to do. They are continuing to close ground up, and they're running a really good line in doing so.
yeah, everybody in this pack, everybody in that second pack running single file. Whereas you look up at the lead pack, there's a lot of side-by-side racing going on, so that's really allowing them to catch that group.
So it was a 3.7. It went down to a 3.5. So then we're going to see an update here again. It's at the bottom of that ticker on the right.
Yeah, by comparison, Grant Wesley, the leader of the front group, is running about 47.8. Javier is running 47.6s.
No change there. It went down from like 3.51 down to 3.50.
Now they're starting to get single file here up front.
Mm-hmm.
They're still going to have to make one more stop. Pardon me, my mouth is full of watermelon, but yeah. They're going to have to make one more stop, and it's going to be a tough one. If they don't get a caution, I think I was projected 6 laps while I was running. So these guys are actually projected even lower, so they're going to have to take at least one can.
Yeah, more than likely, if the math checks out, more than likely that final pit stop's going to be coming up here within the next 3 to 4 laps. So to your point, Michael, we're talking about 12 to 13 laps shy of the finish. That's like the full can and a half right there that these drivers are going to have to take on. Nobody's going to be able to kind of cheese it on strategy. You take a can and we go caution-free the entirety of this race, you're hosed.
Yeah. I saw that come into play a couple of weeks ago. A couple guys gambling on either taking a half a can or a full can.
Don't remind me of that.
Yeah, well, sorry about that, but let's just say it resulted in a really crazy finish.
That second pack just shaved off half a second.
And they'll shave off a lot more because now they're getting racy again up here. Ken Roberts took the dive to the inside. Rodney Sullins, Terry Bombard going to join him. I'm honestly surprised that more of the race leaders are still running that middle lane because we're only about 2 laps. Oh, no!
Oh,
Chuck
Chuck
McClure.
McClure around off the nose of Terry Bombard, and oh, look out, that second group comes flying in. Javier Negron and Richard Martin will get the defending champion. There's the first caution of the night.
Wow. Well,
More wrecking up
rewinding.
ahead on the back straightaway, too. Pat McCarsky, Dennis McCarthy, and there was another driver involved that's already called a tow to pit lane. I couldn't identify who it was before they disappeared.
Let's take a look at what happened here. You see McClure was running in the 5th spot, and contact with him and the 10 of Terry Bombard.
Just kind of looks like Terry couldn't hold that inside line.
Yeah, I mean, and Seth, I think you know this too because you've raced here with me or in this series before. You don't, if you don't heat up your tires on pit road, you're just making fuel-only pit stops the whole race. So his tires were probably pretty worn to not be able to hold his line. That's more than likely what happened.
I'm kind of wondering about something, and Michael, obviously you've been racing this season, so maybe you've been in this scenario, can attest to this. It looked like Terry got a very late bump going into the entry of the corner, might have sent Terry into that corner with more speed than he was planning to have, and that might have also had him push up the racetrack.
That could also be a thing too. I mean, there was a point, I think before that round of pit stops, where I got damaged was when Mark Paglia just kind of cut up right in front of me, and that was very close because I almost, you know how your screen like glitches sometimes when you're pushing somebody in a corner?
Yep.
That's what happened. So, I mean, you can also get a bump going in the corner and it doesn't spin you out, but like you said, it just gives you that extra mile per hour and you just slide up just that ever so much.
There's contact there between the 28 and the 024 in that follow-up wreck. It's like McCarthy goes around, doesn't hit anything, or just barely got the wall on the inside.
You can see this too. It trains up in some strategies. Some cars taking no tires. Some cars taking 2 tires.
Pat McCarsky also went for a spin in the back straightaway. He actually got loose down on the apron when he went down there to avoid, I believe it was Chuck McClure, and the other car that I couldn't identify was actually Terry Bombard. After the contact there, he pulled down all the way to the inside wall in the back straightaway and actually parked his machine.
Joe DeSpirito out first. I think he took just enough. Oh, the 4's out. Excuse me. The 4 had an engine blow.
Brian Schilling.
Oh, wow.
Schilling is right up there in that lead pack, running
so
in.
Shocking. I choked on some soda.
He's running, 3rd or 4th when that caution came out.
Yeah. Almost looks like it happened right in his stall.
Unfortunate, too, for Javier Negron getting into Wesley as hard as he did. Or, sorry, McClure as hard as he did, because they were making some good gains, and it's going to cause a lot of damage to the 40.
Yeah, he and Richard Martin were both a part of that group that were doing a great job of working their way up there to reel in that lead pack. And I'm almost wondering if, a lot of drivers do this, where during a pit stop, specifically one here where you mentioned, Michael, some were going with fuel only, some were going to take on tires, so it was going to be a relatively shorter pit stop. They'll sit there and they'll rev their engine to try and get that launch out of their pit stall, and sometimes you run the risk that you're going to over-rev that engine, and I think that's exactly what happened to Brian Schilling right there. The car in his pit stall, revving the engine, and never was able to leave the pit stall. So that is a tough break there for Brian.
Tells me he did it too early, because when you rev it like that, your oil temp rises. So he must have, like I said, did it a little too early, and he didn't time it right when they were going to let him go.
Yeah, that happened last week too to somebody. I can't remember who it was, but they were bouncing the needle off the limiter and it blew the motor up. Like right there, it's reporting he's out with a piston.
I think to your point, Blaine, I think that was Robert Breedlove last week.
Just right to the mat, and it, like you said, it'll boil the. it'll definitely heat up the water and everything else. Or not to mention, too, sometimes you can put it in gear and it'll pop a gear, too.
So Brian's going to ultimately it looks like, finish 35th here tonight.
Oh.
It's going to be a tough break for him, not only in the fact, as you mentioned, Kyle, he's been a top 5 car all night long, was 3rd place at the time that incident happened, but also came into this race 7th in the point standings, and so he will more than likely find himself on the descending end as far as the points are concerned heading into next week. Ray Bombard also out of the race as we documented, so he'll get credited for 36th position. Got a few drivers that are electing to stay out here, and I believe a few of these drivers are waiver round eligible. John Godfrey, Robert Spring. I believe that Dennis McCarthy might be eligible.
Yeah, because
So they will, when the
on the
lights
leader
go
here.
out, they'll get their laps back. Not 100% certain who the free pass cars are. I think Garland Oaks is one of them. Not sure exactly who the other one is. We are probably going to have about 28 cars, I think, on the lead lap when we go back green here. I think Jeff Crivello I think he's pulling up there on the outside. I think he was the other lucky dog driver. So based off of what I'm seeing, I think we're going to have a total of 27 drivers on the lead lap when we get ready to go back green. It'll be with less than 10 to go. Everybody should be able to make it on fuel now. The Spirito is going to be the race leader. Came into tonight the points leader. 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s in the first 6 races. Surprisingly, only 15 laps led in the first 6 races as well. And this is the first time that he's been out in front in this race here tonight. But he can lead the remainder of this race. He could find himself in victory lane for the first time this season. And it's been a while since we've seen Joe DeSpirito in the playoffs.
That's really surprising. Missed it last season. Ended up winning the season finale for season 67. So kind of carried that momentum into this season. We've talked about how consistent he's been. And here he is up front leading this thing now.
Drivers behind him combined have led a total of like 48 of the completed 57 laps. 14 for Grant Wesley, 18 for Jeremy Jeffries, 16 for pole sitter Rodney Sullins. They're going to make up the first 2 rows here with Ken Roberts, Cody Lamas, Greg Lovell, Josh Metallic, Bob Seminara, and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
The top 10. It's in stereo now. This is scary. I'm used to Michael saying it or Kyle saying it, not Michael and Kyle saying it.
You've even said it tonight, so.
I did say it tonight, but that was because you said it, so I had to back you up since you back me up all the time.
I was pushing him at one point during this race. I was behind him, and every time I touched his back bumper, I went, wham!
Were you did you see his rear deck lid as you were doing it? Because I'm pretty sure he's got the Randy Waluigi on the rear deck lid of that car.
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
Tell you what, though, this caution brings some new players into the conversation as well. Bobby Farrell's up here now, Denny Carroll, RJ Cabana, Bernie Mobbs. This thing isn't over yet. We're going to get the restart with 9 laps to go. A lot can happen between now and the checkered flag. It took us about 54 laps before we saw our first caution here this evening. And now that everybody's all bunched up, let's make it quite aggressive here in the closing stages. Is everybody trying to vie for, in a few cases, their second victory of the season, but for a majority of the field, their first victory of season 68.
Spirito got a good jump right there. Good push there from the 0-1 of Jeremy Jeffries.
Top 2 get themselves clear on that inside line. We'll see if they migrate to the middle or if they stay to the bottom. They will indeed tuck up in front of Grant. The drivers took big hits in that wreck. Restarting in this pack, Chuck McClure, Richard Martin, and Javier Negron They were back roughly around between 15th and 20th. We'll have to see how up to speed they are. Can they stay up here in this lead group?
Could see Richard Martin right there on mid-pack. Looks like he's able to keep up with everybody. For the time being, at least.
Chuck McClure right in front of Donnie Garrett is, whoa, DeMar trying to get down to the inside line, but Glenn Harris was to his left rear quarter panel. Like Javier has lost the draft already down the back straightaway. Josh Metallic has now made his way down to the inside line in front of Ken Roberts, trying to see if he can lead that bottom lane forward. Currently side by side with Cody Lamas. That would be for, I believe, 5th place.
That inside line is not where you want to be right now. That middle line is pretty dominant right now. Only 4 cars on that bottom line.
And there is a 3rd line forming quite a ways back, but I saw Bernie Mobbs, the Citgo Chevrolet, was up there. And as soon as it got formed, it immediately evaporates.
Saw the 21 of Randy Waugh jump to the bottom. Now he's going to lead that line in front of Josh Metallic. He's going to be side by side with Cody Lamas.
And now Grant Wesley's the highest run of the former winners this season. Mark Paglia would be the 2nd highest as he's made his way back up into the top 10. Battling side by side with the 21 of Randy Waugh for 6th position.
Luigi.
Blaine's getting in on it too now. There we go.
Yeah. Look what you started, Michael.
What have we done? You guys have created a monster.
Hey, I regret nothing, okay? Absolutely regret nothing.
Hey, if the drivers embraced it, then it's all fair game.
There you go.
Exactly. So you see how the way they're racing right here, and this is what's going to be the toughest thing. Despirito is leading. They're right on that middle lane with the white line in the middle lane. There's going to be hardly no passing unless they all just leave him on the outside, or on the inside, sorry. Because even if they get a 3rd lane going, it's not going to matter too much, because as somebody who was in the 3rd lane back, when it was too wide, but in the same row, you hardly gain any ground on the little upper line of the middle lane. So right now it's going to be all about who's going to pass and when and where. No one's going to want to do it right now because they believe it's too early unless a caution comes out. But even with these lap cars here, it's just right now. What's the phrase in Saul? I think it's right now you're feeling helpless. Yeah, that's what some of those cars are feeling right now.
And right now, this would be around the point if we were running where they didn't have the EXE to be able to expedite the caution periods. This would be our proverbial point of no return, but the next flag would end the race.
Well, you only get like 1 extra lap, so
yeah.
Theoretically, this is still like the point of no return.
You saw a couple of those drivers there. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to quickly mention you saw a couple of those drivers there. John Godfrey, Dennis McCarthy, Robert Spring, all being bypassed by the race leaders. Remember, we saw them take the wave around, but they did have to pit before the end of this race. They were hoping for a quick yellow to bail them out, did not get it. So they've actually pit, and that's why they are getting bypassed. It's a matter of how long do you wait, and what do you think, Michael? Do you make the move to the inside, or do you maybe even try and see if you can make the move on the outside line?
Well, like I said, the outside, when you get to the upper part of that middle groove, unless you've got people pushing, and I'm talking chain bumping, you're not going to go anywhere. So honestly, your best bet's going to be when if these cars start racing on the last lap, pick your lane and stick with it.
Got a few more cars on that bottom line trying to get going there. See the 21 slowly making his way back up there.
Paglia's going to jump down. Here comes Rodney Sullins. Everybody's noticing this. Jeremy got to the left rear quarter panel of Joe DeSpirito. DeSpirito's got no help a long ways back to Cody Lamas.
It's almost like they heard me.
Stream sniping, maybe? No, probably not.
Well, I mean, I listen to the stream when I race, so it's very possible.
And now Jeremy goes to the lead. Grant Wesley into second. Rodney Sullins third. Joe DeSpirito, who was leading a couple of corners ago, now finds himself all the way back to the 5th position as he'll tuck in behind Mark Paglia.
Forgot to watch the outside lane because here it comes
Rodney.
again.
I was going to say, what do you think about that move by the 01? Too early?
Not
Moves up to-
necessarily.
he moved up to block. It's gonna.
Now they're back up to that middle lane with a block right there. So you got Ulysses back there trying to push the 41. And usually it doesn't matter how many cars you have in the middle lane. The middle lane gets the run off the corner.
Oh, man.
So-
They're trying to not make it back to the white flag, but I think they're going to.
He's making the right choices, though, because he's jumping in line at the right time.
They've got to push. That outside lane has got to push. They've got to stay tight, and they've got to stay together. And now the 88's clear. The 88 can jump up at any point. And look, here comes DeSpirito back as well.
It's all a matter of if that middle line can get going
Lap
down
car.
the back straightaway. Does Grant jump up there and pull off that momentum? Does Jeremy jump up there to try and block it?
No, right now is what Jeremy wants to see. They're side by side for second, which means coming off the corner, the 01 is going to be able to block both lanes.
Whoa,
And
but
Spirito.
Joe's
is he out
on
of
a line
gas?
with an inside line. That's going to hurt.
Here
the two
comes
cars
Rodney
on
on the
bottom.
outside. Here comes.
Oh, and there's a
They're
wreck.
wrecking back
Oh,
there
wow, we
bad,
got cars
Big wreck.
flipping over. Doesn't matter, we're racing back.
Rodney Sullins.
And there he goes, Paglia. He's around, and Rodney Sullins going
Lamas
to watch
upside
it all
down.
happen in the rear view mirror.
Barrel and metallic?
No, it's 38, 92, 41.
41 got it. Okay.
Wow.
Wow. That's a final lap if I've ever seen one before. Holy moly.
Rodney
24
was, I
had to
think,
have-
fourth or fifth crossing the line to take the white flag.
I think the 24 had to have run out of fuel right there or something. And that hurt that inside line. And Rodney Sullins got a nice push, I believe, from the 28.
Either ran out of fuel or might have gotten a bump there going into the corner. Yeah, I think he got a little bit of help
yeah.
from behind. Oh, no, actually, you're right. I think you're right, Kyle. He peeled out as if he had run out of fuel. Good call. And it was just on from there. I mean, they were 4 wide coming off of turn 4. Everybody trying to figure out, I guess, what was going on with DeSpirito in the 24, who kept it down there on the inside line, but they were actually 5 wide coming off of turn 4. That's definitely not going to work. And
Lost count
several
how many.
drivers went for wild rides. Bernie Mobbs, my goodness.
They wasn't over with yet. Up as they were heading toward the line right there. The 48 of Cody Lamas got upside down as well. So I've really lost count how many cars got upside down on that final lap.
Yeah, Mark Paglia, I don't know if he got a little help from behind. He kind of bounced down off of the car to his inside, which was Jeremy Jeffries. Yeah, might have got a little help from the 48 of Cody Lamas there. Grant Wesley gets into Cody. Bobby Farrell gets squeezed into the outside wall.
What position did Cody cross the line upside down there?
Looks like 6th.
Wow.
The Cody crossed the line upside down in 6th. Denny Carroll actually slid across the start-finish line backwards. Bobby Farrell was up on his side, crossing the line in 2nd. It's one of those cases, you hold down the throttle and pray.
Rodney Sullins getting a good bit of redemption from last week. We talked about the it's like the pit road penalty or disqualification or whatever it was last week that knocked him out of the race after leading the most laps. Comes back, gets it done tonight.
Big win for Rodney Sullins, and for the 3rd time in the last 4 weeks, can you believe it? A driver from outside the top 20 in points goes to victory lane. Rodney was 26th coming into tonight. He will certainly, I would assume, have enough points to put him up into the top 20, at least in a wild card spot, and this might be the turning point here. What a time to start getting hot as we get into the latter half of this regular season, making that push towards the playoffs. I have to double check as well. Granted, he had to take the pole from Blaine,
Yes.
but this, I believe, is the first coast-to-coast victory here this season, starting P1 and finishing P1. 17 laps led during the course of this race as well for driver 38. Let's see if we can dial up our podium finishers here tonight. What a wild finish to this race that was looking like it had all the possibilities of going green from start to finish. Caution comes out, changes everything, and a wild final lap for just about everybody, with the exception of the race winner, to close this one out. Let's see if we can dial up a driver that wasn't even facing the right way, slides across the start-finish line backwards to bring it home in third place. See if we can dial up the 41 of Denny Carroll.
The 24 got off the track, but he came back up on it.
Hey, Dennis, the guys up here in the broadcast booth, you got a copy?
What's up?
Man, I'll tell you what, crazy finish to the race here tonight, and kind of proving you don't necessarily have to be facing the right direction to bring it home on the podium tonight. You bring it home third place. Car is sliding backwards across the line. You're able to find a way through that wreck to be able to bring it home solidly in the top 5. Talk about that final lap, because boy, it seemed very difficult to find out where the right place was to be to avoid it all.
I didn't know which line to get in. I seen them wrecking, and I think that wreck gave me a couple spots I shouldn't have had.
Well, we saw
I ran the whole race almost a half a lap back, I believe.
I was just going to mention that first caution kind of bailing you out. We saw that you had lost the lead pack. We're spending most of the race back in either the second or the third pack. But then once the caution came out, it gives you a little bit of life to be able to go up there and race. Just how much of a relief was that for you?
A big one. I was sweating bullets. I was trying to work my way into the top 12 or whatever you got to get into for the playoffs. I think I was like 13th when the race started.
Yeah, it looks like scoring had you 14th place. And so obviously going to gain some valuable points and more than likely move up in the point stands here as well. As a driver, I know obviously you've got the victory. It got you up into the top 20, so there's some pressure off there. But how much pressure is there still now that, including tonight, there are only 4 races left in the regular season? And outside of not only just trying to find victory lane, but establish consistency and momentum for when the playoffs roll around. Is there still some mounted pressure for a driver, even though you've got that race victory this season?
No, I'm in it to win it. I'm going to try to win it every race, which a lot of them don't look like I'm even trying, but there's a lot of good drivers in here. It's hard to get up front.
Well,
but
great.
You got to try your best. That's all I can do.
Absolutely. Well, hey, right place, right time to pick up a podium finish here tonight. Going to gain some valuable points as a result as you try and make your way further up there inside the top 16 in the standings. Congratulations on the great run. And before we let you go, Denny, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
All right, thanks, guys. It's my second podium, I believe. I'm going to try to win the last 2 races, see how that goes. But just thank you guys for putting this on, and thanks for RTG for even letting me race here. It's a great bunch of drivers here, and it's an awesome league. Just thanks to everybody that watches, and I'll see you guys next Thursday.
That's Denny Carroll. Great way to end out tonight's race as he'll finish 3rd position here this evening. 3 races left to go till the playoffs begin. Best of luck here in this final home stretch.
Thank you, guys.
See if we can now get a hold of a driver who's going to score his first top 5, his first podium of the season. Had a best finish of 10th coming into tonight. Let's dial up the driver, the number 92, Bobby Farrell. Hey, Bobby, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys loud and clear.
And I'll tell you what, you drove a solid race here tonight, stayed up in the lead pack pretty much the entirety of the race. Great execution on pit road. It was looking like, had we not had that initial caution come out, this 92 was in good position to finish out the evening with a solid top 10. Yellow flag comes out, everybody starts bunching back up again, and you found yourself in the right place at the right time to get through all that chaos through the trial to bring it home in the second position here tonight. Congratulations on that, but just how easy, how difficult was it to kind of figure out where the right place was to be, because those final 2 laps were wild.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes I never know where the right place is. I normally like the bottom. Wrecks like that happen and everybody drifts up to the top, but tonight the top was the place to be.
I mentioned about the fact that, there's a lot of drivers that find themselves outside the top 20 in points coming into this race. A lot of drivers looking for that victory, the max points to get themselves up there near that cut line. A solid run for you here tonight when you came into this race. I believe you were 24th in the point standing. It's going to gain you a number of spots overall. Still got 3 races left to go. Is this maybe a turning point, do you think, in terms of momentum? And now you can use this momentum into the next 3 weeks to make a push for one of those 16 playoff spots.
Well, to be honest, those points are a little bit wrong. I was actually 31st, so I really wasn't even supposed to be in the race tonight. Thanks to Sean Turner knockout with this knockout qualifying. I actually didn't make the field, but Sean Turner decided not to race, so it allowed me to get in the race. But points are what it is. I try not to race for points. I just try and race, get the best finish I can, and let the points speak for themselves. And wherever we end up at the end of the season is where we end up.
Talk to me about coming through the trial over there for that final time. It kind of seemed like for most everybody, no matter what happened, it was throttle down, hope that you get to the start-finish line. At one point, you were up on 2 wheels. So how much was that you driving the race car, and how much was maybe a little bit of luck that all 4 wheels came back down on the racing surface?
I'd say 99% luck and maybe 1% driving skill. I'm the one time where I'm glad the wall was where it was and I was able to hit it, because I saw that wreck. I saw the wreck starting out, and it got hit in the door, and that pushed me up in the wall and got me up on the 2 wheels. But I just kept in the gas. I wasn't letting off. I wasn't hitting the brakes. I just kept in the gas. Whatever happened. And we were able to use the wall to our advantage there and come home second.
Well, a great run for you here tonight, Bobby. Congratulations on a job well done. As I said, a solid race overall, able to keep it up in the top 10 pretty much the entire evening. Right place, right time, coming down to the checkered flag and crossing the line on the podium in second place here this evening. Before we let you go, Bobby, the floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Well, once again, thanks to Sean Turner, because, again, if it wasn't for him deciding to bow out of the race, I would never have been able here to race tonight. My good friend Jamie Baker, he's one of the ones that always tells me, hey, take him any way you can get him, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. It's second place to second place. So got to thank him for this paint scheme, making it look good. All the guys, admins and drivers at RTG, and then you guys up at the booth at FRN and Tarnation TV for broadcasting these races for us.
Well, that's Bobby Farrell, his best finish of the season. Second place here tonight at the high banks of Talladega Super Speedway. Congratulations once again. Best of luck here. Hopefully this momentum carries through in these final 3 races of the regular season.
Yeah, we're just going to keep trucking along and see if we can't string some more good finishes together and see where we fall out at the end of the season.
That's Bobby Farrell, your runner-up finisher here tonight. Highest finishing of the Fords here this evening, as you're seeing replays of what went down there on that final lap. And this guy had maybe the best view in terms of where he was positioned. It all happened in his rear view mirror. Let's go down to victory lane and dial up tonight's race winner, Rodney Sullins. Hey, Rodney, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I sure do, fellas. How you doing?
I'll tell you what, first off, congratulations doing the coast-to-coast pole to win. We'll call it unofficial pole to win there. You had to snipe the pole from Blaine, I guess. But, hey, end result, everything happened in the rearview mirror. Clean racetrack out in front, the checker flag waving up there in the flag stand. We documented where you came into this race points-wise. We've seen a couple of drivers this season that found themselves in similar situations. Denny Carroll, Donnie Garrett last week. It's got to be a load off your shoulders to finally be parked in victory lane. Get yourself some momentum here at a crucial portion of the regular season.
I I'd love to say it's a huge weight off my shoulders. It's nice to have. I've just got to keep myself in the top 20 this season because I have shot myself in the foot like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, speeding on the very last pit stop, at least 2 weeks in a row, running in the top 10. And the last pit stop, obviously, as you know, that's the worst to do. And I've done it for 2 weeks in a row. So tonight I was like focused to make sure I was at 53, 54. I didn't want to get close to 55. I just, I think I'd be having a pretty good season if it wasn't for my lack of talent. I've been lucky enough to be in good positions, but dumb enough to blow it.
Well, we saw you here tonight in the closing stage of this race make some really good decisions in terms of whether to move to the bottom or move to the top. Obviously, we saw you slot into third place with a move to the inside, then make the jump up there to the outside as you guys were coming to the white flag, ultimately getting the push that you needed to get to the right rear quarter panel of Jeremy and eventually have the momentum through the tri-oval to take this victory. Obviously, we ended up seeing that initial caution kind of change everything, brought a whole bunch of new players back up there. How different was it in terms of adding all those cars, the energy to be able to make those moves, as opposed to if we had not seen that caution come out? I think amongst yourself, there were, 10 other lead lap cars in that pack prior to the yellow flag coming out. Could you have still been able to make those same kind of moves, be able to get yourself up there in the hunt for the checkered flag, or do you think that caution, bringing more cars into the pack, made a big difference?
I believe it helped me because those guys that were running up front, first of all, are really good hot pitters. They do a great job pitting. I'm pretty good at it too when I don't speed. I'm not as good as those guys, but I can hold my own. But I would have had to have probably one of the best of my life to try to pick up positions because they were drafting so well together. I don't know if I'm sure y'all seen me and Ken and I believe it was Garland and some guys was trying to make some moves, and they had such a good smooth line running and drafting really well that we couldn't make any headway. So I have no doubts that the caution and bringing everybody back absolutely helped me get to victory lane tonight. No doubt.
So obviously, I know that whenever you guys get behind the wheel, the green flag flies. Everyone's got the same goal. They want to be the first one to the checkered flag. But you mentioned about the hardships you've had the last couple of weeks. Does this victory give you the opportunity now to maybe do a little bit more points racing in these final 3 races of the season, rather than have to make sure that you get to the front, stay at the front to get the checkered flag? Or you still have the mindset as well of, now that you've got this victory, there's some extra bonus points that could be garnered if you end up getting some other victories? I think there's 3 points per win when the playoff format is put together here. What does it do in terms of the mentality over the next 3 weeks, maybe more so points racing as opposed to checkered flag racing?
I'm going to try to get maximum points because, as you know, this season we're doing 16 plus anybody in the top 20 with a victory, and they run it all the way to the end. So there's no more getting in and having a good race or two and moving on. You've got to battle all 16 or 16 plus guys the last 5 races. So obviously you want to start as high as up on that pole as you can. Because obviously that puts you closer to the top where Josh and Joe and Grant and Tim and those guys are running. Because you want to be reachable in those 5 races. I want to try to be able to reach those guys because I can't just beat them in 2 races at the end anymore. So maximum points, I'm going to try to do a little bit more focusing on the mid-race points. I'd like to get 5 to 7 of those when I can. And of course, a top 5 finish would obviously give me some good points too. But that's what I got to do. I got to keep myself in the top 20, obviously, to be able to participate in the playoffs. But I'd like to get myself as high as I can to start the playoffs.
Well, we had your dad in our chat. Said, good job, son. He also said, I think before you guys had even taken the green flag, he said, stay up front, less chance of getting involved in the wreck. So it looked like you followed his advice as the biggest wreck of the night took place in your rearview mirror as you crossed the start-finish line to pick up this win here tonight. We'll let you get back to your celebrating in a moment here, Rodney, but before we do, floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, I appreciate it. obviously RTG with the owners, Prime, Jeremy, Josh, Jason. Those guys do a fabulous job. Jeremy works his tail off for this thing. FRN, Tarnation TV, Seth, Kyle Blaine. I'm obviously really looking forward to watching this one back because the last couple of races I could hardly watch them because I knew I was going to shoot myself in the foot. So it was tough to watch. I want to thank Josh and Tim, the co-admins here, the two admins here, and then there's me. I appreciate those guys letting me hang around. All the admins here, all the drivers. I want to thank Mark Paglia for sticking with me. I mean, he was pretty much on my bumper the last couple of laps. So I have no doubts without him pushing me, I wouldn't have won. Because I usually run really well with Jeremy and them. I know I'm getting off the thank yous, but Jeremy and Grant. But I needed a win, and I needed this really bad to try to get myself back. But anyway, Chevrolet, my RPM teammates, Black Rifle Coffee, Havana Brisa, Andy's Frozen Custard. Welcome aboard to those guys. Wickers, Dad, thanks for watching. Love you. Eric, Kevin, hope you guys enjoyed it. Still missing Bones. I want to thank our sponsor, all our fallen military and stuff that's what they're about. Then they sponsored us for that, and all the drivers that we've lost here at RTG. But congratulations to Bobby and Denny on a good run. I don't know, did Bobby tell you about the start of his race?
He did.
Okay, yeah. How about that? Gets an opportunity to race and finishes second. That's take advantage of the situation. That's a great job, Bobby. But anyway, thank you guys. Thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race.
Well, that's Rodney Sullins. He becomes the 7th different winner in these first 7 races of Season 68 of the Talladega Challenge Series. Congratulations, Rodney. Best of luck here these final 3 races of the season as you look to ride this momentum and make a push towards a playoff spot.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Rodney Sullins, your race winner here tonight. Yet another driver that came into this race outside of the top 20 and finds victory lane. You look at the last 3 races. Now, granted, he wasn't here 3 weeks ago, got provisional points, finished 42nd in translation. But then over the course of the last 2 weeks, 38th and 21st. This could be a turning point for Rodney Sullins. And I think that something that we didn't bank on, Kyle, with 3 races left to go here in the regular season, a storyline that we're going to be following starting next week. There's a bunch of former winners that are hovering right around that 20th in the standings cut line. Rodney is one of them. He's now made his way up to 19th. Donnie Garrett is now on the cut line in 20th. And Kelly Causey, a former winner who was not in the field tonight, 22nd. So as Rodney mentioned, he's got the victory, but you got to stay in the top 20 in points. It's going to be interesting to watch that trio of drivers here as they look to not only get above the cut line, but maybe build a bit of a cushion between themselves and that 20th in standings cut line over the course of the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, who'd have thought we'd see a situation like that? Normally, we'd think, well, if you have a win, you're perfect. You're all but guaranteed a shot at racing for the championship. But, not this season with the way they changed the format around a little bit. Like I said, consistency is rewarded. And, it's going to be interesting to see those, 3 drivers who we would think would be pretty safe when it comes to, making the chase and everything. Might not be the case.
Tell you something too, you're looking at the finishing results from this race. Again, everything is unofficial, but that last lap wreck shuffled things up in more ways than one. It now determined the drivers that are moving on into the final 4, the 4th round of the bracket challenge. We knew that Lovell was already moving on. We knew Metallic was already moving on. DeSpirito is going to move on, but he didn't exactly get the best of finishes. Scoring has him crossing the line in the 23rd position, and Denny Carroll's podium is going to have him over Hagley moving on to that final 4. As consequence, with DeSpirito finishing outside of the top 20, I don't know how he manages to do. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time this season. Josh Metallic seems to find himself in the right place at the right time to get through that final wreck. He's going to cross the line in the 4th position, and because of that, Metallic is now the new points leader going into next week. It seems like once somebody gets the points lead, nobody's able to hang on to it.
It's just been that. Shows you how wild this season has been so far, and is there a bonus for being the points leader at the end of the regular season in terms of the chase? I want to say
there's a 3-point bonus for winning the regular season championship.
Well, that could play dividends there toward the end of the season. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm sure everybody's thinking about that.
Well, this was definitely a wild race here tonight. Was looking like it was going to potentially come down to one of those best execution on pit roads going to win the race. Looked like we were maybe going to go green the entire 66 laps. So we had a caution come out with about 15 to go. Calamity on the last lap. And everything happened in the rearview mirror of one Rodney Sullins. Becomes the 7th different driver to go to victory lane here in season 68. It shuffles up the points. It makes things interesting here with only 3 races left to go. We know that at least 16 drivers will battle for the playoffs. We might have some wild card drivers. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out over the course of these next 3 events of the regular season. The last push towards the playoffs. But we thank you for joining us here tonight for our coverage of the Talladega Challenge Year's 68th season. Again, congratulations to Rodney Sullins on the victory. Looking forward to seeing what other type of races we are going to see over the course of the next month or so. Kicking off next week with race number 8 right here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on both Tarnation TV and the Flat Out Racing Network. We thank you once again for joining us here on this Thursday evening. For Blaine Donlin, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week for the continuation of Season 68 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series right here on the Flat Out Racing Network and Tarnation TV.